Hello, good people. I am Sarah Poet. It is so good to be here with you today. Thank you for being here. Your time and your energy and your attention are some of your core resources, and I definitely value that. And so I want to make this worth your time today. Thank you to Danielle for having me. I'm Sarah Poet. I'll tell you some story along the way, so I'll just start with a short intro that I am a coach and a healer, but I'm so much more than that. I'm a teacher. I was a teacher in a previous career. Then I walked this path that I call sacred remembering, where I follow my own soul. And we are evolving as the planet is evolving. We are the conduits for the remembrance, for the activations of the new earth on this planet. And it is through our source connection that this occurs. So I walk with revolutionary leaders. I mostly work with women, but I do also work with men. I say I work with women and men who love them. I was spending a lot of time in the first years of my business after I left the field of education and educational leadership. I was talking about feminine and masculine and the reunification of feminine and masculine throughout all my work. And that's what I did. And that's how I worked with people. And I would say, if you're drawn to that path, great, that's a reunification path. We're healing feminine and masculine on all levels of existence, which is the creational template. We're coming back into unification in our energy. And, that is the path for many, many of us. And I meticulously studied that path. I can talk to you about that path, whether it's inside of our own bodies, relationally between us, or with the divine itself, right? And so I was on this path of sacred remembering and spiritual entrepreneurship. And I had been a school principal. So I was, like I didn't know a thing about running my own business, right? But I was like, I'm on a soul path. I'm just going to do it, right? And I was very, very determined to run a business that was respectful to both my feminine energy and my masculine energy. And I really wanted to do business and entrepreneurship and life very different. I really wanted us to have this successful template of how to reunify those two energies and come forward in like a more balanced, holistic, unified way, right? Where we really value the energy of our own bodies and our own selves, because as a woman leader in a traditional field, and I even always worked in alternative education. I didn't even work in a traditional field, right? But in that sense, I had learned to climb ladders, to just like slug a cup of coffee and, keep going. And logic was valued over intuition and that kind of thing. And I just knew that that wasn't the way. And I didn't want to run my entrepreneurial business in the same way. So I very, very closely, like I said, studied feminine and masculine within myself, and also just intuitively like what felt good, right? And I began to bring back these feminine ways of knowing, feminine ways of gnosis, Gnosis, like knowing what we know. And I was doing it. I was freaking doing it. I had a podcast called Sacred Remembering. I mean, like I was doing it. And then horrible things happened. To be totally honest with you, it was like, hello, does the world see what I have done here? I have reclaimed the sacred feminine in my life, in my ways of doing and being and knowing. And what I found through like some rude awakening, which was my path, it was just like what I needed to live, all of the stories and all of the examples. The world didn't necessarily know how to value my feminine resources, my resources as a woman. So this masterclass I am mostly talking to women because in my work, I mostly talk with women, and this will be beneficial no matter who you are, how you identify, right? But because of time and because of where my work focuses, I am specifically going to be speaking with women here. So forgive me, and I'm sure we could be adaptable. Okay, so this is really important, right? Because when we go out on these soul paths and we want to build a business that is in alignment with our soul path, what happens is we often look for a formula. We look for, like, well, how does one structure a business like this? What is the formula for a spiritual coach or a conscious entrepreneur, right? And there are plenty of people and examples of people who have figured out something and then they like want to tell you the formula. And that's great in a way, because we do need like leaders who lead and then kind of reach back and say, hey, I figured something out. I want to share it with you, right? That's what we're all doing here. That's like what leadership is. And it's also very easy to bring the old paradigm into spiritual entrepreneurship and not realize that we're doing it. So the old ways of work, the old ways of using our energy, the old ways of hustle, things like that, right? Like we actually have to change the paradigm of how we're doing business, of how we're showing up, of how we're using our energy, in order to not just like replicate the old paradigm that we think that we're leaving. So the first few years of my business, I was doing really revolutionary things, but there was still these imprints of the old paradigm. And that also mostly had to do with how I was using my energy and how I was valuing my energy. Like, even though I was talking about feminine and masculine, there were still some things that just like I didn't know how to value my energy and my resources really clearly. And so the outside world wasn't necessarily reflecting that to me. So I had remembered and I had reclaimed and I was bringing back the feminine and I was establishing it right beside my inner masculine. And people were drawn to that. Like, people were hanging on my every word, drawn to that. Like, people were attracted to that. I had invitations to partner in business, partner romantically, right? But then I kind of kept getting burned. And that's when this whole second, like, my real work kind of came online through this period of time of a pretty hard learning, honestly. Like, it didn't look fabulous. It wasn't abundant. I mean, in the financial sense, it looked messy. I like didn't programs I had sold before weren't selling. I was in a hard spot. It was like a period of, I call it making compost. I was making compost with old ways of thinking and being and doing in my life, which we have to do if we truly want to move into the new paradigm. So what happened inside of me as a woman was that I began to notice, like, oh, okay, well, people want this of the feminine. They want, our resources, right? These same resources that we can use to create and make and build and manifest and all of that, like these innate resources that we have inside of us. There was there was this attraction to that abundance, this interest in that, right? Like, I had them, I had cultivated them, so others wanted them. Okay. So in business and in entrepreneurship, this can be a good thing because people are attracted to you, right? They see you. Maybe they want what you've got. But then there's this like value exchange. And I don't have time in this presentation to go into the different kinds of value, but this is very important. I focus on this in my work with women and resourcefulness and abundance. We have to we can pick apart the definitions and the meaning of value, right? Because in historically, we're talking about financial value, right? And how our services equate to a financial value. Well, let me just cut to the chase that our internal resources are infinitely valuable. There is no equation that is going to say, okay, my time combined with my unique gifts, combined with my gnosis, combined with all of my experience, exactly equals this financial value. That is something that we can decide, but all of those inherent resources are infinitely valuable, right? So there's this, yes, there's a financial value that we can assign if we are interested in exchanging resources. That's one option, right? The world, the world doesn't really know how to value feminine resources. Feminine resources definitely were not in the equation of like what is financially valuable, right? The world expected many inherent feminine resources to be free. And in fact, that is how the world ran. So, somebody invents this financial system, and then there are these inherent feminine resources. And the ones that make the world go round were not economically valued, right? So then women have a hard time bringing their whole selves to the table and actually being valued, right? But more than that, the resources that actually make the world go round were said to be not valuable, but they were also the ones that were systemically controlled or put into contracts and systems that said somebody else owned them, right? Like a woman being owned by her husband when she got married, and then her womb and her children also belonged to the husband. I mean, it's just this is very, very enmeshed. Okay, so we're learning what are our inherent resources? And I called this masterclass tapping into our inherent resourcefulness. Okay, let's break that word down. So what we're actually doing is going back to our original source template, our original nature. We are connecting to source. I have a ton out there about this. You can look for it. You can contact me about this. I don't have time to go into it in this masterclass. We are resourcing, going back to source. This is why I was drawn to Danielle's invitation, because she identified resources, right? So we're this is spreading. This is becoming more abundant. This realization that our resources are inherently our own, given to us from God's source, from nature, from creation's template, from nature's template. All of those can be used interchangeably, okay? So we are a part of that. It's actually true that we have a energetic blueprint that when we are we have to rehabilitate that blueprint to be back in connection with source creation. And this is part of who I am, part of who I've remembered myself to be. I work in this 12th dimensional unified field template of creation. So when I work with clients, I'm channeling in the unified field, and I'm channeling the soul information, and I'm doing good old-fashioned coaching, based on my teachings and things like that. good old fashioned. No, that's not true. I'm doing super innovative coaching, right? And bringing those things together so that the energy template of the human body is actually rehabilitating. And the reason that this is important is because we become more resourced the more that energy template is actually rehabilitated. Okay, I'm very interested in women getting this information. So we're rehabilitating the template of who we are. And then resources begin to flow more so. Like the actual energy between us and source and the earth begins to flow more. That is part of what we are rehabilitating, right? Then we are more resourced. We are, like more resourced in our own energy, more tapped into the truth of who we are. And then in this, I'm going to be talking about how that is actually like your biggest resource. That's where we're ultimately going, is that there's this frequency that is you. Okay. This stream of creation that is you. And some people call it authenticity, but it's really like, it's more than that. It's, the feeling that you get when you feel your most yourself, like the most yourself you ever are. I get that feeling when I am writing. Like, I did name myself Sarah Poet. My last name, Poet, was the last name I wanted when I was a little girl. After my divorce, I was like, I don't want any of these men's names. I want Poet, right? So that is like the name of my soul, I say. And I love writing. Like, it is when I am alive. It is when I am sensual. It is when I am feeling. It is when like God is running through me. And do you think that I listen to that every single day? And like, have I always listened to what source was like bringing through me? No, no, I ignored that. I like thought that I needed to be productive instead of doing that. I messed up for years, right? I held myself back because I didn't like listen to that. So there's a way that source wants to move through you. There's a way that source is like, hey, I'm trying to light you up. Are you listening? Okay. And that is, that's when you're going to be the most resourced. That's when you're going to be the most resourced, magnetic, attractive, abundant, right? Like when you are doing your thing. There's not another manifestation formula. If you want to be resourced, you got to listen to source. You got to listen to that, like, impetus within you. Okay. Some of us lose that for a long time because we were playing other games. We were surviving. We were raising families. We were climbing career ladders. We were traumatized. Like all of those reasons sever us from that source connection. And that was also like part of the plan, the anti-life plan. So that to say, we are aligning to source, bringing our resources, like acknowledging the inherent value of our resources within. And I want to say one more thing about that. In the old paradigm where we were like trying to build businesses and hustle and manifest and those kinds of things, we were emulating formulas, but we were using our energy to like get something. Okay. So there are a lot of differences between old paradigm and new, but it's like a lot of people that I talk to, and this happened for me in my like period of compost and decay. It was like, well, I used to use these formulas and they worked. Like I could manifest in these old ways, and now it's just not working. If that is true for you, it is because creation is calling you to a new earth template. So many of us, most of us, the visionaries, the edge walkers, the change makers, the new earth leaders, we will not actually be able to succeed in old templates. Like our abundance and holistic prosperity is really going to come from our remembering our resource, our source connection, like I was just saying, but playing by nature's rules, like remembering creation's template and being like, oh yeah, how do I fit into this? Right? Not just how do I chase this financial goal, because the money was we could say a construct. It was an invention within a system that didn't want to operate by the laws of nature. And I have a lot to say on this too, because people try to assign energetic like rules and spiritual means to money, like money is just energy. I don't agree with those things, because money was a specific construct within a structure of culture that had specific purposes. Some people could get access to it, some people couldn't, right? There were certain rules about that structure. So here we are as conscious people, and we're going to move through understanding, oh yeah, that's what that was. How much do I want to engage with that old structure? How am I called to help build the new, right? We're the bridge builders. We're walking across the bridge to the new earth. So, um, again, redefining prosperity, redefining abundance, redefining what it means to us to have enough, to to be resourced. So back to, I can go on and on. So back to your inner resources. So what happened was I was on this path. I was like, dang, they want all of me, but they don't even know that they want all of me. They want all of these resources that I can tell you what they are. I'm going to tell you in a moment, but they don't know how to ask for it. They don't know how to value it. They like don't know. And with so many struggles still existing in the area of respect, right? You might reclaim so much of yourself and you might value yourself. Do you really, though? We're going to go into that in a moment. And like others who aren't walking this path, who don't know to even like think about this, they're going to need you to actually educate them. So we are reclaiming the value of our inherent resourcefulness. We do this step by step by step by step. And then we're going to educate others who say, hey, I want to take you on a date. Or I want you to come like give all of your creational energy to this project, and I want to pay you way less than you're worth, right? And we say, actually, let me tell you about the resources that I'm actually going to bring to this situation. This is why, my fee is actually way more than that. Or somebody wants to take you on a date and you recognize, oh, they want this, and this resource from me. I'm not ready to give that. Okay. So boundaries come into play. So if you have a piece of paper in front of you, here's the invitation. I want you to make a circle on the paper. And then I want you to make a pie with 8 slices. So 4 and 4. Okay, and some of you may have done a similar kind of life coaching exercise where you start like coloring in the center of the pie wedge. So we're gonna go through 8 inherent feminine resources, I say, and you're going to label that pie slice and then start coloring from the inside and see just intuitively, just like feel with your pen, not think with your head, feel with your pen, how truly resourced, how full does that pie slice feel? So if you are like, hallelujah, I got so much love. That's one resource. I have so much love in my heart. I feel so full with that. You might color to the whole edge of the pie slice, right? But if I say your time, and you're like, oh, that feels so squished, then you might just like draw, like color in the little edge of the pointy pie slice. Okay. So then you're going to have this visual of like how resourced you are in these core 8 categories. I'm going to say all of our resources as a woman go inside of these 8 resources. Now, these are not external resources. This is not what kind of house you live in, what kind of car you drive, what kind of partner you have, what kind of job you have. Like none of that. How much money's in the bank? Nope. Nope. I'm talking inherent resourcefulness, because the days of sacrificing what's inside to get what's outside, over. Old paradigm. Done. We don't want it. Okay? No, thank you. We want holistic prosperity. Okay? So everybody, let's take a deep breath in and out. Feet on the floor, butt in the seat. Okay. Let's do that a couple more times and just feel like you can bring in energy of water, just kind of wash off the energy off your body. Cleanse so that you have this fresh perspective here as we begin. Okay. Staying attuned to your body and your breath as you begin to listen to these 8 inherent resources and fill your pie. So first pie slice, first resource is your time. So write down time and then start in the very center of the circle and just start to color in that pie slice. How full do you feel? Not how busy do you feel? How blessed with the resource of time do you feel? You're like, yeah, time is a resource I have every single day. When I wake up, I got the time in the day. How much does it feel like it's yours? How much does it feel like you get to choose? How much does it feel like it's working for you? Right? How full, how resourced do you feel with your time? Next, your attention. You have the resource of your focus. Everybody's trying to get this resource. Everybody's trying to get this resource. You have it. How much is it your own? Fill out that pie slice intuitively. How full, how resourced do you feel with that inherent, nobody can take it from you, that resource? Third, your energy or your life force. How vital do you feel? How resourced by your own life force energy do you feel? So if you are filling yourself up on caffeine to make it through the day, that's so, that's like depleting. Okay. That's a false energy. And I love my matcha as well, but like it is still like a false energy, right? So your life force, your natural energy, how full do you feel? Next, the fourth one is your physicality, your body. your physical body, your health, your strength, your, like, I would say this is also like the foods that you eat, your relationship with your physical body. How healthy does that relationship feel? Next, number 5, your wisdom, your intuition, your feminine ways of knowing. Okay. Like the female intellect. I might put like the mental, like the logic, the knowing, I might put that over with attention. But this is like the gnosis, the wisdom, the stuff that like you crave to not have to explain to anyone, like the wisdom that you might use if you're like an intuitive or a channel, right? Now, this is great, right? Because this is where some of these feminine resources that weren't historically valued economically are starting to be valued economically, because we are coming on the scene and we're like, look, I have got these extra skills and I'm going to build a business using them, right? So, but again, I don't want us to bring money into it right now. I just like how wonderful does your relationship feel with your intuition, your gnosis? Like really, before anybody else ever validates it or even gets to know it, like what is your relationship with that? Okay. Next, your emotional energy. So we know that women are called to emotionally labor, right? That we have this cultural term. And like your emotional labor can be called on in situations where like maybe you don't want to give it, right? So your emotional energy, are you drained because of like dealing emotionally with other people, right? Or are you like, I love my relationship with my emotions. My emotions are a guidance system. I have a way of being with them every single day, right? So, how full do you feel in the health of your resource of emotional energy? Next, the heart, the love. We've got so much love to give, right? It doesn't always need to be a value exchange. Like sometimes we're like, yeah, I just like, I'm a woman, I love. I'm a woman, I give, right? But when we have a sense of what these resources are, we can see, oh, I give that one away and I didn't even name it as a resource, right? We can say, I give that away and I don't think to charge for it. We can say, you know what? I'm not even full in and of my own self. So I can't keep like over giving to others, even in the name of my business. This is not sustainable. Like I'm in a net deficit in my own resource. So I can love people, but I can't give this emotional energy. You see what I'm saying? So how full and resourced do you feel in your heart? Is your heart aching and like needs a little bit of time before you start over giving? Or we don't want to overgive, but before you start pouring into others again, you know, or is it like, yeah, I feel really replenished in my heart and I have love to give. I can use this energy with um, to give to others, right? You get to decide that. And I hear, like, as I say these things, it might even sound like selfish, and that's okay. It's like we need to value our own resources so that we can choose where to invest them. And source creation is cheering us on with this, right? Because when we know what our resources are, we get to decide where to invest them. And this is infinitely important for anything we're going to build, any legacy we're going to build, any book we're going to write, any business we're going to make, any healing we're going to offer, okay, we have to know what these resources are. I would say any love relationship we're going to get involved with, any business partnership we're going to get involved with. We need to know what these are. We need to know what is the status of my own internal resources. Do I feel resourced? If not, where are my resources going? What boundaries do I have to set? What do I have to call back? Right? And then we get to decide where to invest those resources. So you might be noticing that there's one pie slice left. And it's a big one. It's a powerful one. Your creational energy, your sex, your womb, your creational energy. Do you feel resourced in that area of the body, area of your life? Are you being creational? Do you feel turned on? Are you like actually able to create in your business? Or are you like just, oh God, I gotta use my time and be productive, right? You're not feeling, you're not like bringing your life force to the work. You're just like trying to like do something to get the money to come in. Please God, right? So this resource of the womb, of the creational center, is where, oh my gosh, it's so important as women. I will say, you have a free gift. You have a free gift. I'm so excited to tell you about it. I host a membership called the Inner Circle. And in the Inner Circle, we are joining with New Earth energy, New Earth frequencies to bolster feminine resourcefulness. This is what we're doing. So this is a membership for women. And you get 1 month free with the code resource. And I am channeling New Earth meditations. You get those weekly. We do at least 2 live energy events per month. It's very beautiful, and it's merging all of this information, right? And we are tapping into codes of creation that the old paradigm is going to search for forever. They thought they were stealing the womb energy, but they are mistaken. They can't, because we have to walk this walk as women and come to this space of integrity before we're even given such codes, right? So this is not like new age, sacred feminine, use your womb for this and that manifestation. This is not that. This is women becoming integral conduits for creational energy, and like becoming activated in these earth frequencies of creation that correspond with our own womb and the cosmic womb, right? And then even the geometrics are different, the geometries, the mathematics of creation. So I like to say womb manifestation instead of manifestation, right? I'm not really interested in manifestation, to be honest with you. I'm interested in womb manifestation. So there is so much more for us to talk about. I hope that your pie was like full and delicious and just like bursting at the seams. And if it wasn't, it's totally okay and understandable. And it's like opportunity, like I said, to look at where you're overgiving, to find your own like delicious relationship of value with these resources, and then decide what you want to exchange and invest. And this is a wholly autonomous sort of choice, It's not a financial choice. Financial is just like one aspect of this whole thing of giving and receiving. And we're actually retemplating giving and receiving in these new earth energetics so that more and more and more of us have more of what we need. Okay? Thank you so much for being here. I'm Sarah Poet. My website is sarahpoet.com. And you can find the inner circle there, and you get 1 month free with the code RESOURCE. Reach out to me with any questions, Sarah at sarahpoet.com, SARAHPOET. It is so good to meet you, new friend. So good to meet you. May your resources be blessed. May your abundance, may your resourcefulness be so full. May you know your source and your earth connection. May you know how powerful you are as a conduit of the energy that wants to flow through this earth to rehabilitate the structure and the provision of creation itself. Thank you, thank you, thank you.